So this is the final call for today. Chris, an atheist from Minnesota, looks like, Brunswick. Hey, how you doing? And what's your question or thing that we can help with?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Just to keep in line here, Dillahuntty, snakes under the bed, his eyes unfurled. So,
Okay.
I was just giving some Darmok and Jalad throwdown. Great conversations, and could way go into the Roddenberryism as a political concept, but I just recently had I'm a atheist. I want to say agnostic, but actually I've read the Nag Hammadi, so I like Gnosticism. Yep.
Chris, can you just back off from the mic a little bit? We're kind of peaking and
you're popping a lot,
scratching. So.
Yeah, hang on. I got my headphones on.
So one more time.
That's much better, right?
Sorted. Yeah. Once you get it sorted, kind of back up a sentence or two because I lost part of what you're saying about Gnosticism. Hello?
You might have muted yourself playing with your microphone.
You might have to tap your phone to wake it up. I see you're on the web client. If you're on your phone, you're going to want to tap it and then tap the browser to wake it back up.
Hello?
Yes, you're back.
There you are.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Had a lot of issues earlier. So, anyway, I'm an atheist because no proof has been given empirically, but I really like the Nag Hammadi as something to read, so it's good mythology. So I call myself a Gnostic. Recently, I had an experience which raised a bunch of...
I just don't understand. You're an atheist, but you're Gnostic. What is it that you know?
Good question. I believe that any knowledge is going to be a personal revelation. So, and that's how I take Gnosticism to be is an entirely personal process. Totally an atheist, and I'm also a Jungian.
Totally an atheist. So wow, I'm so completely confused. Nothing you say makes any sense to me. And I think you've shut your phone off again.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
You got me? Yeah. So I have to say, I guess I'm an atheist agnostic, but as someone who's done a lot of research, including reading the Nag Hammadi, and someone who's very interested in Jungian psychology, I like to be an informed person. I've actually heard very little, after listening a long time, I've heard very little reference to the things which were politically omitted from the Bible coming from Christians who call the show, like the Nag Hammadi. I recently had an experience which raised goosebumps, and it got me really like, whoa, wait a minute, is there something going on here, But,
Your phone has gone to sleep again?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dudes. I appreciate getting on the phone, on the show, and I've had technical difficulties all the time. I don't know. I guess I recently had a moment, experience, which I thought was spiritual, but I had, after looking at some, looking into synchronicity from a Jungian perspective, came to appreciate it as, non-metaphysical or non-supernatural. But I'm wondering if there are people who have experiences which they claim to be spiritual are just, synchronistic. Hello?
Nothing you say resonates in my brain as making any sense. Nothing about the Nag Hammadi
Okay.
library, nothing about Gnosticism or agnosticism, which you seem to have flipped back and forth on. Nothing about Jungian synchronicity. I don't know what your question is, or, I mean, you're like, oh, you had an experience that you might have thought was spiritual, but then decided it wasn't spiritual. And so you're wondering if other people called things spiritual when they weren't?
Yeah, something like that. And I apologize for being all over the place.
I'm just trying to get the concepts because, so why is the Nag Hammadi library relevant? Because all that is basically a collection of texts, some of which are tied to Gnostic views on Judaism, etc., and others aren't. I don't know what.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not advocating for any theistic perspective, so please understand that. I've had no proof and can give you no empirical evidence that there is anything other than our empirical reality. But I keep wanting to, for some reason. I listen to the show a lot, and I keep wanting to come at what you know.
And the phone has gone to sleep again.
That's weird.
It's not weird. We've described it and explained the problem multiple times. You are on your cell phone and you are using the web app for Call-In Studio to call in. And because it's in a browser, when you put your phone up to your ear, your phone goes into a sleep down mode. And so the browser basically gets disconnected from your microphone. So you have to keep your phone awake. We've explained it 50 times.
Gotcha. I'm doing that. So anyway, I'd love to be able to, I keep wanting to, I feel somehow oddly compelled to come in and try to give some sort of empirical proof of something other than atheism, and I can't. And I'm well versed in many, many different religions and spiritualities. I did recently have a moment when something happened which just blew me away. An emotional reoccurrence which spanned a decade, 10 years, and all of a sudden one end and the other end were closed, and it was goosebumps, and I was like, what the heck is this? And really came to some sort of kind of more of a Jungian perspective on it, in that I was prepared for something crazy to happen, and something crazy happened, and it was just coincidence. Although I do think there's something in human psyche which... Are
you like a Jordan Peterson fan?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Guys, I haven't spent this much time listening to someone talk about Jungian archetypes without making sense since I sat down with Jordan Peterson. So I thought I'd ask.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, totally not. I do think there is something there, but again, there's only a tiny amount of empirical evidence which hints at a collective unconscious. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are people. I'm just trying to represent a feeling of someone who is an atheist who is still seeking and is open, but nothing's come along. So I guess that's about it.
So wait, so you're an atheist who is still looking around at religions and not finding anything, and you called in to tell us that?
Yeah, although I did have a moment recently, and I guess
What was it?
maybe
What was the moment?
I without going into a lot of details, a bunch of legal stuff, but I had a coincidence that was involved in the very beginning of it, and then 10 years later, out of nowhere, same coincidence occurred, and so it was unsettling. And the people who know me and have listened to the story of it, and they get goosebumps when it happens. And so,
Chris,
I guess,
Like, literally, yeah, go ahead, Eric, because I'm
yeah,
at my
Chris,
wits' end asking for an
there are
example
people.
and getting in just nebulous sentences of nothingness.
Yeah, Chris, you're very anomalous, nebulous. The way Matt said it, it's really hard to like latch on to anything like solid to talk about. People win the lottery multiple times in their lifetime. Highly, highly, highly unlikely that to happen twice to a single person, but some people have had it happen multiple times. So that doesn't mean anything. Coincidences occur. We latch on to things due to either emotions or humans as pattern seekers. We tend to find patterns where there's not really any patterns to begin with. So that's why it's important. You said to yourself, you're an agnostic atheist. You like the Gnostic philosophy. You like these religious texts. You've had experiences in your life that's caused you to raise your eyebrow at it, and that's fine. But just life is a messy experience, and you're not going to see 100% consistency with these things, especially when emotions are involved. So, and you have a desire to want to find stuff in there, and that's fine. That's the human condition. But as you said, you're an agnostic, you're an atheist. You are trying to keep your checks and balances in place for those things, and that's where you should stay until you have sufficient evidence to build a case that you can test and falsify that anything else other than what we experience in reality is actually real. Like, you're swimming around a whole lot of stuff, and you're basically saying, I'm where you are, but I have some emotions involved. And yeah, sure, we are where we are. We have emotions involved as well. We're pretty much the same, but you're swimming around quite a lot, and like it's really hard to like latch on to anything here. Is there like a specific thrust of what you're trying to say with this call here?
Well, I appreciate that's a good encapsulation where I'm coming from. I guess if I could be, kind of speaking to theists who are caught up in applying their emotions, to their psychological, their questioning life as psychologically, I guess that's what I'm trying to provide an example of. Like, I'm somebody who's an atheist whose emotions have caused them to have questions and maybe even look for external supernatural solutions. And I guess that I'm just calm about that, really.
Okay.
I mean, I could provide details to this crazy Goosebumps event, but it's really just, I did a little thinking about it and a little reading and found out that, it's, our brains are structured to find patterns, and we all share a similar brain structure. So we're going to find similar patterns, and supernatural responses are going to, provide convenient excuses for that. Sorry to, be like a shotgun here about
fine.
stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with those statements. We can tend to latch on to explanations, even if they're bad, just because explanation is more comforting than no explanation. So sure.
It still doesn't stop me wanting to have something so simple and sweet as some sort of supernatural solution.
What is simple and sweet?
Well, that's why I'm saying I'm a proponent of ID, but the I is ironic. I think irony is a greater force in the universe than intelligence, if you ask me.
Okay. You're a proponent of ironic design, or did you just think you could put two letters together? And I think honestly, Chris, you are a thinker in search of a thought.
Okay. Yes, I am actually a proponent of ironic design, but because I've found that to be more empirical than intelligent design coming from theists.
Yeah, you know what else is more empirical than intelligent design? Not non-design. So you don't just have to keep their initials and sub in something till you can make a clever statement that's actually not accurate. You could just say, hey, the appearance of design doesn't actually demonstrate design, intelligent, ironic, or imbecilic.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep. No, I absolutely
going with guys. I love alliteration. I like the thing, but it's like you called in and you're like, oh, I'm an unwilling atheist Gnostic. And then 5 minutes into the discussion, you're now an unwilling atheist agnostic. And then when you recently had a goosebumps moment that evidently impressed you and impressed other people, but when we ask you what it is, we get absolutely nothing of any substance to critique or evaluate at all. And
I can be more specific.
You want to talk about reading the Nag Hammadi library? I'm pretty sure that there's nothing in the Nag Hammadi library that has any bearing or relevance on the goosebumps thing that you had, right?
Well, no, but there is one element of the Nag Hammadi which, okay, yeah, there is one element of the Nag Hammadi which I do feel has some seeming correlation or pseudo correlation with modern science, and that's the Pleroma. But in general, it's all mythology, of course. You know, I can be more specific. I'd love to be more specific about the experience I had, but it involves legal matters, and I really am hesitant to get too much into it. Other than there was a person who was day one when I was incarcerated was in the jail with me, and then 10 years later when I was released from incarceration, I walked out and there they are, the same person. So that it was obviously coincidence, but sure raised some goosebumps.
So, okay, we're closer to something I can assess. So you went to jail, or I guess prison, for 10 years. I don't think you go to jail for 10 years, do you?
Nope, incarceration.
Okay, so you're incarcerated for 10 years, and on the day that you go in, there's somebody, and on the day you come out, the same somebody is there. Who are they and where are they in these two scenarios? Because if it's like, hey, on the day they put me in there, this is the guy who worked the button for the main gate of the prison, and 10 years later it's the same guy, that's not even a coincidence. That's just his fucking job. So what context are we talking about here?
For sure. This person, who was known to me, by the way, happened to be in the same holding room as I was getting booked into a jail. And then as I was being released, they were there to see their probation officer 10 years later, day to day, day one, day zero. And
how many times did they come visit their parole officer? Why is this hard? Did your phone go to fucking sleep again?
So sorry.
How frequently did they come check in with their parole officer?
Oh no, you know what? I have no idea really, because 10 years passed.
Do you have a parole officer?
No longer.
Okay. When you did, how frequently did you have to check in with your parole officer? Why is it like fucking pulling teeth just to get a couple details?
Oh, no, sorry, Matt. I fully understand that this is coincidental.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done, Chris. I'm done
Yeah.
being told that you fully understand, you fully understand, you fully understand, instead of answering the questions. I can take no more of it today. I've reached my limit.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
If
even
you
bring it
fully
up
understood, if you fully understood, I wouldn't need to be asking questions to try and get clarity on it. But since you fully understand, you don't need anything else from us. Thanks for calling.
yeah. And by your own admission, if it's just coincidental, why even bring it up? It's just coincidental.
well,
It was a waste of time.
because it was significant that I hadn't seen that person for 10 years and they were there.
Aren't you fucking
So,
incarcerated for 10 years? What were your opportunities to see somebody over the 10 years you were in? Jesus Christ. This is ridiculous. Hey, I was incarcerated for 10 years, and then I saw somebody that I hadn't seen in 10 years. I bet there's a lot of people you hadn't seen in 10 years, right?
Okay, guys. You know what? I'm sorry. Don't mean to piss anyone off. I'm not trying to get, I'm not trying to, raise the hackles to this level. Sorry.
Maybe you should answer some fucking questions then. You called.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some understanding on what you're saying. And instead, it's like I'm pulling teeth. But then when I start to make some fucking progress on actually getting answers, then you tell me you completely understand.
Oh, would you please give me the understanding that I'm trying to not divulge a lot of information because personal
I'm not
reasons
interested
and
in
also
people who have secrets. If you have a secret coincidence that you don't want to share, it's completely fucking useless to the show, isn't it? Because we can't evaluate secrets unless we know them.
Okay. Well, so I guess I better
Hey, what's Pleroma?
better shut up.
What's Pleroma?
Oh, Pleroma. Pleroma
I know what it
is.
is.
Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of ontological similarity between Pleroma and entanglement from a quantum mechanics perspective, actually.
Oh my God. Goodbye, Chris. Goodbye. No. I'm not going down this road at all. So Pleroma is essentially the Gnostic concept of heaven. And Chris has been sitting, he hung up, by the way. I didn't hang up on him.
No, I did that because it's past 5 and I have to produce the late show and I was sick of going on the merry-go-round.
Oh, okay. Well, in any case, I was about to. So Chris is very proud of the fact that he's read the Nag Hammadi library and has discovered a concept in there where the Gnostics have a concept of heaven. And he thinks that it's somehow tied to entanglement, which I will bet all the money in my wallet Chris doesn't have a good understanding of at all. But even if it did, Chris's aha moment, I guarantee you, is that he's impressed that these Gnostic authors seem to have an understanding of an entanglement concept that the rest of humanity didn't discover for centuries afterwards. And the answer is, you're reading into it. Period. You are taking what you know and understand, and a lot of what you clearly don't know and understand, and injecting it in there because you are on a search for significance. You had plenty of time on your hand and were bored and not clearly informed on everything, and you wanted to find significance, and so you did. If you go looking for significance, you will find it. You can spin significance out of anything. I wish, I don't know, can I go to Google and just do a random search to pull up any page? I don't want to put any, it'd be fun for me to pull up a random web page that I've never read or anything else and start to read it to see if I can find significance. I've done that before with the Bible. I've just randomly clicked over here, boom, boom, boom. Here we go in my Bible app that's open. I went to Jonah chapter 3. And the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go into Nineveh, that great city, and preach it to the preaching that I bid thee. So Jonah rose, went to the Nineveh according to the Lord. Now Nineveh was, this is really cool because this is a story that atheists use all the time. And yet I randomly clicked on an application over here that has all the chapters and verses and books in the Bible. And this, I happen to open to one that's about Nineveh and a prophecy about God changing his mind. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
But also,
I'm sure that you and I could both go to random Bible verses and then draw all kinds of connections. Like you go to a random one, I go to a random one. We can talk about it for an hour, draw all kinds of random connections. We do that Wikipedia articles. Humans are pattern seekers. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean there's actually a pattern there.
You know, if you have 2 sticks, they won't stand up. But if you have 3 sticks, you actually get a stable structure. So there we are. There's the physics of a 3-footed stool being a stable structure. And that's also Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Plus, my body is divided into head, torso, and lower body. Oh, and this finger, that's the Trinity. There's 3 joints on that finger. There's the finger, the back of my hand, and the wrist. That is all there that goes into hand motion. That's a Trinity. Mm-hmm. There's my hand, my forearm, and my upper arm. That's a Trinity. You just, if you're doing it, you can find Trinities everywhere. And that speaks to the truth of God. And by the way, if you don't like Trinities, you can just divide things into 2s. I've got my upper body and my lower body. I've got my left side and my right side, my left eye, my right eye, my left nostril, my right nostril. Does that mean that God is 2? You can, and you can do it with 1, and you can do it with 4 and 73, and oh my gosh, there's a prime number. It must be important. And this is why not you people, but this is why some people look for the golden ratio and 1.618 looking for patterns and secrets. And this is exactly the type of thing that the Gnostics were doing. The Gnostics weren't talking about knowledge in the sense of, hey, I did an experiment and got this result, and now I have knowledge of how this works. They're talking about secret knowledge. They're talking about hidden knowledge. They're talking about the knowledge of the divine and the supernatural and the spirit. It is the entire purpose of it. And so if you go looking for meaning, you're going to find it.
Thank you for watching that clip. If you enjoyed it, perhaps you should join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
At patreon.com/calltheline.